Hey, hey, what up? Good day. Good day, everyone. Good day, everybody. Hello, everyone. Hello, all the bodies. Goodness gracious. Welcome to the Course in Miracles. This is the Course in Miracles. A Course in what? A Course in Miracles. And this is our 2021 calendar year. And I'm just inviting the Course in Miracles groups. All right. Okay, so this is the 66th day in our 2021 calendar year, and this is the 66th lesson in our Course in Miracles. This lesson is my happiness and my function are one. Yesterday's was my function is the one, my only function is the one God gave me. I had a little trouble with that only. Today it's a little bit resolved with my function, my happiness and my function are one. Would I want another function? What other function would I want? Clearly, whatever function I would want it for what? In order to feel good, in order to feel happy, in order to feel like I'm functionally making a meaningful difference. For what? For like the feeling that we have. So I am the light of the world. Forgiveness is my function as the light of the world. The light of the world brings peace to every mind through my forgiveness. Let me not forget my function. Let me not forget my function. Let you not forget your function. My only function is the one God gave me. And my happiness and my function are one. My happiness and my function are one. So, always at the beginning, I kind of remind us, not always, but usually, that the Course in Miracles doesn't ask us to believe these things. In fact, it tells us we will probably have some resistance to it, but that if we listen in, if we hear, if we practice with it, we will be able to have a benefit from it. So, and if we practice as it tells us to, it told us yesterday to, for the next few days, set apart a specific time of the day to do it. Today I was able to do that. I did my 15-minute practice at 8:20, and it was a happy experience for me. So anyways, yeah, today is a bit, it feels like resolving of the tension of the only word. See, my only function is the one God gave me. I was like, but what about all these other things I need to do, or feel I need to do, right? But today, it's a bit resolved, I feel, from my happiness and my function are one. Is there any other thing I would want? What would I want anything for other than to be a demonstration of teaching and learning to enjoy? Enjoy what? Enjoy now. Okay, so anyways, we'll read. Hey, Brent, what's up, brother? Good to have you here as always, man. Okay, so you have surely noticed an emphasis throughout our recent lessons on the connection between fulfilling your function and achieving happiness. Your function is happy. Your function and your happiness are one. This is because you do not really see the connection, yet there is more than just a connection between them. They are the same. Their forms are different, but their connection is completely one. The ego does constant battle with the Holy Spirit on the fundamental question of what your function is. The ego, the question, the like, what about, and the but is constantly saying, yeah, but what about, and yeah, shouldn't you worry about this? And okay, the ego is constantly at war with, or does battle with the Holy Spirit on this foundation. So does it do constant battle with the Holy Spirit about what your happiness is. It is not a two-way battle, though. It's not a two-way battle. The ego attacks and the Holy Spirit does not respond. The Holy Spirit does not respond. This reminds me of when at times I've been able to practice this really well as a great demonstration through contrasting experience of people challenging me, people that were seemingly physically more, dangerous than me even. And my lack of defense deconstructed their attack. So the Holy Spirit does not respond to the ego's attacks. He knows what your function is. He knows that it is your happiness. Today, paragraph number 3. Today, we will try to go past this wholly meaningless battle and arrive at the truth about your function. We will not engage in senseless arguments about what it is. We're not going to engage in senseless arguments. What is your function other than to be happy? What other function would you choose for yourself? Single-mindedness is what we're going for, or one mind, one heart, one goal. We will not become hopelessly involved in defining happiness and determining the means for achieving it. We will not indulge the ego by listening to its attacks on truth. We will merely be glad that we can find out what truth is. It's an experience in this way. The Course says there is no universal curriculum, but there is a universal experience, and you can only experience it now and here. Fourth paragraph. Our longer practice period today has as its purpose your acceptance of the fact that not only is there a real connection between the function God gave you and your happiness, but that they are actually identical. God gives you only happiness. Therefore, the function He gave you must be happiness, even if it appears to be different. Today's exercises are an attempt to go beyond the differences in appearances and to recognize a common content where it exists in truth. Today's exercises are an attempt to go beyond the appearances of differences and recognize a common content where it exists in truth. Begin the 10 to 15 minute practice period by reviewing these thoughts. God gives me only happiness. Creator creates for me creatively, you could say, not destructively. You could say the truth gives truthfully. You could say there'll be a lesson. Oh yeah, the next lesson. Love created me like itself. So love loves lovingly. Love creates me lovingly. And other things. Holiness creates me holy. Kindness creates me kind. Helpfulness creates me helpful. Perfection creates me perfect. These are kind of almost like pristine kinds of definitionary logics or something like that. So God gives me only happiness. He has given me my function. He has given my function to me, and therefore my function must be happiness. Try to see the logic in this sequence. Even if you do not yet accept the conclusion, the logic of the statement would be that what would a creator create for you? Like if you were a father, if I were a father of a child, if I were how a father would want to be, really, and otherwise they would feel ashamed of themselves being a creator. They'd want to create for their creations happiness. Doesn't matter, that's what they would clearly want as a creator. Anything else doesn't make any sense. So God gives me only happiness, and God gives me my function, and therefore my function must be happiness. Try to see the logic in this sequence, even if you do not yet accept the conclusion. It is only if the first two thoughts are wrong that the conclusion could be false. Let us then think about the premises for a while as we are practicing. The first premise is that God gives you only happiness. This could be false, of course, but in order to be false, it is necessary to define God or Creator as something that He is not. He would be a creator of chaos or something like that, which doesn't make sense. Love cannot give evil, and what is not happiness is evil. That's a pretty intense statement. Let's let it sit there. Love cannot give evil, and what is not happiness is evil. This is like, a pristine logic kind of thing. This is the idea that the universe is a mental universe, and that if it were a mental universe, this is a meditation or a consideration on kind of a type of pristine logic, actually. God cannot give what He does not have, and He cannot have what He is not. Creator cannot create what He does not have, and He cannot have what He is not. Unless God gives you only happiness, unless a creator creates for you only creatively, not destructively, He must be evil. And it is this definition of him you are believing if you do not accept the first premise. The first premise being God gives you only happiness. The second premise, or your source, or your center, or your soul, gives you only happiness. The second premise is that God has given you your function, that your Creator gives you your function. We have seen that there are only two parts of your mind. One is ruled by the ego and made up of illusions. The other is the home of the Holy Spirit, where truth abides. There are no other guides but these to choose between, and no other outcomes possible as a result of your choice but the fear that the ego always engenders and the love that the Spirit always offers to replace it. There are no other guides but these to choose between, and no other outcomes possible as a result of your choice but the fear that the ego always engenders and the love that the Holy Spirit always offers to replace it. Paragraph number 8. Thus, it must be that your function is established by God through His voice, or is made by the ego which you have made to replace Him. Thus, it must be that your function is established by God through His voice, or is made up by the ego you have made to replace Him. The ego is your identity with your small self or something. Hey, Peggy, what's up? Good day. Long time no see, Peggy Benson Kessler. Which is true. Unless God gave your function to you, it must be the gift of the ego, or of the small separate self that you made up, that is a representation of the tiny mad idea, which is the idea that the mind, just into the mind of God there crept this tiny mad idea, which it forgot to laugh. What if there could be something other than the truth? Or what if I did things how they're not supposed to be done? Or something like that. Does the ego really have gifts to give, being itself an illusion and offering only illusions, only the illusion of gifts? Think about this during the longer practice period today. Think also about the many forms the illusion of your function has taken in your mind, and the many ways in which you tried to find salvation under the ego's guidance. Did you find it? Were you happy? Did they bring you peace? We need great honesty today. Remember the outcomes fairly, and consider also whether it was ever reasonable to accept happiness from anything the ego ever proposed. Yet the ego is the only alternative to the Holy Spirit's voice. Hey, Peggy, thanks, Auntie Peggy. The ego is the only alternative to the Holy Spirit's voice. You will listen to madness, or you will hear the truth. Try to make this choice as you think about the premises on which your conclusion rests. We can share in this conclusion, but in no other. We can share in the conclusion of what? Let's see here. I'm not sure what conclusion we can get. We can share in the conclusion to listen to the Holy Spirit, I guess. I guess. Let's see here. So we can either listen to madness or hear the truth. And we can share in that conclusion, but not in any other. The conclusion to hear the truth. The truth is you're not separate from your Creator, for God Himself shares this conclusion with us. Today's idea is another giant stride in the perception of the same as the same and the different as different. On one side stands all illusions. All truth stands on the other. Let us try today to realize that only the truth is true. In the shorter practice periods which would be most helpful today, if undertaken twice an hour, this form of application is suggested. This form of application is suggested if undertaken twice an hour. We're going to repeat slowly. My happiness and my function are one because God has given me both. It will not take more than a minute, and probably less, to repeat these words slowly and think about them a little while as you say them. My happiness, my function are one because God has given me both. There's this distinction about one and many here that I'm sure could be kind of more thought about more thoroughly and more parsed out and brought to more clear understanding. God has given me both. God gives you one thing and it doesn't confuse you with many. It gives you clarity, the clarity of your function and your happiness being one.